Hey everybody, what's going on? I just wanted to get back into the swing of things here, even though it's only March, 5 weeks until the draft at the time that I'm recording this video, so I figured I need to get back in here. The Bills have made some coaching changes. They've added some guys in free agency. They've traded some players. They've traded some picks. They appear to be in the market for a quarterback in the first round. That's different, right? That doesn't happen too often around here. So there's a lot of variables right now, and I felt that it would be best if I got in here and maybe did like a draft preview or like a free agency reaction type of thing, so that I can give you some feedback, maybe talk you off the ledge a little bit, because I know some fans are panicking with what's going on after the Jets made their trade up. We'll talk about all that, and I can get some feedback from you, hear what you guys are thinking about the coaching changes, the quarterback changes, the roster changes overall, and where this leaves the Bills, moving forward as we, approach the draft. I know this next 5 weeks might feel like forever for some of us. It's going to feel like forever for me because I'm just the anticipation is killing all of us. So where do we begin? The Bills, I did a season reaction video. The Bills had not yet fired Rick Dennison at that point. They have since fired Rick Dennison and hired Brian Daboll. I'm open-minded to that. That's fine. Like I said a million times, I guess this is the one thing I'll just keep bringing up. I'm more open-minded to Brian Daboll than Rick Dennison was to throwing the ball on 2nd and 10. I saw just the craziest stat. I know this. I'm not going to make this a huge part of the video, but this was my thing over, the year, maybe over the years even. After the Bills gained 0 yards on a pass on 1st and 10. I believe that includes completions for 0 yards, but it definitely, obviously, includes incompletions. When they're faced with 2nd and 10 after throwing the ball on 1st down, they ran the ball 81% of the time, 4 out of 5 times. Terrible. That's so, I was predicting it from my couch, so I know defensive coordinators were predicting it. It was needed the change was needed. The Bills were going in a different direction at quarterback. They were going in a different direction on offense overall, so therefore, different offensive coordinator. It makes sense. Like I said, I'm open-minded to Brian Daboll. He's worked for Belichick. He's worked for Saban. I can't discount the knowledge that he could have received from those two guys. They're Hall of Famers in their own right. So, okay. I know that he wasn't the greatest at it in the past with Kansas City or Miami, but you know what? They just won a national championship, so I'm not going to take that away from him. I'm open. Let's see what the guy's got. The Bills traded their quarterback, Tyrod Taylor, to Cleveland for the 65th overall pick, the first pick of the 3rd round. No-brainer, right? I can't believe they got that for him. I thought they were not threatening, but talking about paying his $6 million roster bonus just to get somebody to fork up maybe a 5th round pick. I was thinking maybe a 4th, but probably a 5th round pick for him. Cleveland comes in with the first pick of the 3rd round. I would have been, see ya. No offense, Tyrod. Honestly. Stand-up dude, great in the community, such a nice guy, honestly had a fun, such a blast. 3 years watching him play sometimes. Ended the drought, owe him for that. Great. And just the one stat that really has been hanging over my head, I looked up some of his games, and he played 7 of his starts. 7 of his starts were against playoff teams this year. The Bills went 2-5 in those games. This includes Jacksonville. They scored 2 offensive touchdowns in 7 games and had exactly 3 points with Tyrod Taylor 4 times in those 7 games against playoff teams. Carolina, New Orleans, New England, and Jacksonville, obviously. The defense scored 2 touchdowns. They scored against Atlanta. They scored against New England in New England. Against those 7 games. Come on, man. I'm glad you were here. I had fun watching you. I'm grateful for you because you had the drought. I'm grateful for Nate Peterman, honestly, because if Nate Peterman doesn't go in and throw 5 interceptions, he might stay in the game and all the games, and the Bills might not make the playoffs. Probably don't make the playoffs. So because he threw 5 interceptions, Tyrod goes back in, breaks the drought. Perfect, right? It all just played out perfectly. But we're moving on. Salute Tyrod Taylor. You got a fan right here. You know, good luck in Cleveland, my man. The Bills also traded their left tackle, Cordy Glenn, to Cincinnati, primarily for the swap of draft picks, which is just huge. The Bills moving up to 12th in the first round, Cincinnati slotting back to 21st. That is huge because Bills fans got really excited just knowing there's another move coming. Like, here come the Bills. They're coming up the draft board. They're going to get the quarterback. And that, you know, might be a little over anxious, over eager maybe. They're like giving the front office, not that they don't deserve credit for making the move, they do. They shedded the money, they shedded the player that doesn't play anyway because they have Deion Dawkins, and you know, and they moved up 9 spots in the first round. They came up basically halfway. So, but you're sort of giving them credit where they haven't finished it yet. The job isn't finished yet. But I'm excited too, don't get me wrong. They move on, they sign Chris Ivory, Star Lotulelei, Trent Murphy, A.J. McCarron. They re-signed Tre'Davious Cadet, Ramon Humber. They add Raphael Bush, Russ Bodine, Marshall Newhouse in free agency, Julian Stanford, a special teamer. And to me, none of these names just jump off the page. Lotulelei does because they had a huge hole at defensive tackle. They bring back Kyle Williams. Obviously, that's awesome. So the defensive line, which was looking just shattered before, is now looking better because you're probably going to get Shaq Lawson back. We think, I don't know, people are talking about him getting traded and stuff. But you got Trent Murphy in there too. You got Jerry Hughes, is good rotation. They have a rotation on defensive line anyway. You know, Lotulelei and Kyle in the front. So now you're looking good there. You lost Preston Brown at linebacker, but you re-signed Humber. You have Milano. You still have Lorenzo Alexander. There's still a hole there, don't get me wrong. But it's not looking as terrible, I guess, as it was before, or as thin, I guess. But to me, all these moves scream Ivory, Cadet, like, oh, running back might have been a need for the Bills, but and tackle with Eric Wood retiring, or tackle guard center with Eric Wood retiring. They bring in Newhouse and Bodine. You know, they're filling their depth. The Raphael Bush, the special teamers like Stanford, they're filling in their depth with just role players here and there because they're preparing to not have too many draft picks because they might trade them all away for a quarterback. That was just how I read that, and I mean, you can look at that, I guess, a couple of different ways. That, like, maybe they just want some veteran, you know, they had a lot of veteran leadership, you know, last year, 33 new players on the team out of 53. You know, I got to throw Vontae Davis in there as well. They're probably going to lose E.J. Gaines. You know, if the Bills want to just, with that second corner spot, just sign veterans to one-year deals constantly, I'm okay with that. Just keep Tre'Davious White there and just let the other guy be like a 1-year, 28-year-old veteran who's pretty good. I'm down with that. But like I said, to me it just indicates that and I don't want to give them credit because they haven't done it yet, that they're ready to move up because they're filling in their depth. Brandon Beane's like, oh, all our moves aren't from here on out really aren't going to make the ticker or anything. You know, so they're not planning anything big, but they're planning in free agency. But they're planning something somewhere else. And to me, that is red, you know, not necessarily a red flag because we all want it, but like it's going to happen in the draft. They're still a little thin at wide receiver after with Kelvin Benjamin, Zay Jones, Andre Holmes, you know, Rod Streeter, Malachi Dupre, and Brandon Riley are those guys filling it out. They've reported interest in Alan Hearns, but are they going to win 1 out of 10 teams? They did that with Trent Murphy. Apparently 10 teams reached out to Trent Murphy, who missed last season with an ACL injury, but had 9 sacks the year before. You know, I don't know if they'll have the same opportunity with Hearns because they don't have a quarterback in place really right now. You know, I really haven't talked about A.J. McCarron, but they played the waiting game with A.J. McCarron, and that worked out well for them because they got him in 2 years, $10 million. They didn't get into like the bidding wars with like Cousins and Bradford. Bradford, $20 million. Like, oh my God, are you kidding? Anyway, that's just, I had to throw that little nugget in there because I'm sure you guys can't believe it either. Like I said, still a little thin at wide receiver. They might still be able to address that in the draft. Maybe still throughout free agency they lost Deontay Thompson. Maybe they look at Jordan Matthews again. I don't know. I wouldn't hate that at all. The Zay Jones thing, the TMZ thing, I'm like, I'm not going to say anything really about it. The Bills' statement is best. We are aware. We're gathering facts because you don't like. I don't get why people really would like make jokes about it, especially publicly on Twitter and stuff like that, because it's really not that funny if suicide was attempted or anything. Not making jokes. But I don't want to just run and defend him either, because I can't discount the chance that there was some irresponsibility on his part. Like I said, the Bills' statement is best. We're aware of it. That's all we're going to say right now. We're gathering more information. Whatever. Oh my God, we're at 10 minutes and I didn't even start the draft yet. Okay, let's talk. So, you guys are the most hardcore fans. If you're watching this, like, you're nuts. I'm nuts. Anyway, what will the Bills do with their 9 picks? It's been pretty well publicized. They have 6 picks in the first 3 rounds again after getting now the pick back for Tyrod, 65th overall there. They have the obvious need at quarterback, and there's probably 4 going top 10. And Lamar Jackson and Kyle Rudolph, the tight end, Mason Rudolph hanging out there as well. Darnold looks like he could be number 1 to Cleveland. Rosen, there's questions about his commitment, about his concussions, but, like, I mean, God forbid a guy's interested in things other than football. I mean, that doesn't sway me at all. The guy just hung 340 yards out there every single time he played. Obviously not every single time, but that was his average. I think he's got, maybe Darnold has the most upside. I think Rosen has the most talent right now, maybe the most pro-ready. No questions about his talent. Mayfield, not really questions about his talent. About his accuracy is great, probably the most accurate quarterback out there. That passion, he's the most passionate of them all. There's just questions about his off-the-field, whatever, incidents, or, you know, but this is like, Brandon Beane was part of a regime that drafted Cam Newton, number 1 overall. So I don't think that Baker Mayfield is off of their board for any reason like that. He's got the fire, he's a pretty good player. He's not too big. Like, come on. Just use the eye test. Is he good at football? And the answer is yes. He appears to be good at football. Josh Allen appears to have all the tools, but they need to be, like, molded, crafted. I've heard the word project attached to him, and that's not something I'm super crazy about. But, I mean, I think the Bills would be, you know, it would serve them best and the fans best to walk away with one of these 4 guys in the draft. Now, they're sitting at 12 and 22. They're probably not getting one of those top 4 guys at 12 and 22. They probably could get Lamar Jackson or Mason Rudolph, but are those the guys that they want? Now, a lot of fans very upset recently because the Jets maybe beat the Bills to the punch by trading for the 3rd pick with Indy. And why would the Jets do that? No, the Jets are looking for a quarterback, but like they just signed McCown. Reportedly told him he was going to start this year. I guess they signed Bridgewater. Has it been officially announced? I'm not totally sure, but like they have McCown and Bridgewater, and they appear to be drafting another quarterback. Maybe that's the landing spot for Josh Allen because he's got the project, the craft. You know, he needs to be crafted and molded. You know, but I'm not going to say that is a guarantee by any means. Maybe the Jets know they can get their guy at 3 even if somebody jumps ahead of them at 2 because maybe they know what the Browns, maybe Darnold, and the Giants are doing. I'll get into that shortly. I guess there's just, you know, a couple different schools of thought from the Bills' perspective. They could hang tight. They could draft 6 players in the first 3 rounds, maybe get 6 starters, but probably as many as at least 4, right, in the bunch. Grab some solid depth. But who's the quarterback? Over the years, this team has filled every position. They filled corners. They filled running backs especially. They filled receivers. They filled linebackers or, you know, defensive ends. Or what? They filled all of their needs except quarterback. Fill that need. Go out there through the draft, stick your neck out for somebody, get one of the top prospects at the position, and let's have a franchise player at the position, the most important position in sports. J.P. Lossman was the number 4 quarterback in 2004. The Bills passed up, reportedly, on a trade for Ben Roethlisberger. And, you know, now that they don't have him, he has 2 Super Bowls. Eli Manning has 2 Super Bowls. Phillip Rivers doesn't have any, but he's going in the Hall of Fame. Phillip Rivers is just a victim of, like, bad luck. what a terrific player Phillip Rivers is. Would love Phillip Rivers on my team. But the Chargers lose games stupidly and foolishly. So, that's another subject, altogether. But there was the Lossman thing. They traded back in the first round to get him. And there's 3 Hall of Famers ahead of him. E.J. Manuel was a trade down to the 16th pick, and there wasn't really much being made of the quarterbacks in that draft anyway, with like Geno Smith and whoever. So that's kind of a half-hearted attempt. That doesn't even really qualify to me. So, let's trade up for the quarterback. Let's go up and get one. It doesn't really seem worth it for any other player other than the franchise quarterback. It was not worth it for Sammy. It's never really worth it unless it's a quarterback. There's rare instances, I'm sure the Falcons don't regret trading up for Julio Jones, but that just doesn't happen all the time. They had Matt Ryan in place, so it made sense for them sort of at the time. I just wouldn't give up extra picks to get anything other than the most important position in sports, like I said. In 5 years, people fear, before I say this, people fear giving up too much by trading up. But in 5 years, would you rather have this franchise quarterback, or are you just going to be mad and pissed off that, man, I'm still stewing over the second-round pick they gave up in 2019. Josh Rosen's throwing for 4,500 yards and 32 touchdowns. And the Bills are winning 11 games, but we could have had that second-round pick in 2019. And that could be the middle linebacker who is not making tackles for us right now. Yeah. I don't know. This is just a quick role play there. That's just how I envision that going. The more reasonable and most reasonable fear is that you miss with the pick. You pick the wrong guy. Dreadful. That gets guys fired. That gets people fired. But that's where you got to trust the process, right? So reverting back to the Bills' options, sort of. The Giants made a little bit of noise by trading Jason Pierre-Paul to the Buccaneers, and that has opened up a lot of, widespread to most people. Has opened up most people to the idea that they will take Bradley Chubb from NC State, the defensive end, because they traded their aging, high cap number defensive end in Pierre-Paul, and just try it again with Eli, re-sign Odell, see how that goes. Anyway, Darnold, like I said earlier, seems to be the top pick. The Browns owner, Jimmy Haslam, watched Darnold's pro day with Darnold's parents, so that seems to be logical right there. But if the Giants want Bradley Chubb, where does that leave the Bills? Do they sit and wait and see till the night of the draft? Maybe, but that is risky. The whole thing is risky, but missing out on the guys is the most riskiest thing. Maybe you trade up to 4 with Cleveland, or trade up to 6 with Indy again. If Chubb is off the board, maybe Indy is trying to move down again for 12 and 22, because they want to put talent around Andrew Luck. Makes sense. They need players. Indy needs players, because they don't have a lot of depth. They don't have a lot of good players outside of Luck and Hilton. But then who are the Bills getting at 6 if they trade there? Darnold will be gone in this simulation, or mock, I guess. And then the Jets take who? Are you getting maybe the third guy? Do they just take Rosen? Do they take Allen? We talked about that, but I don't know. What I think works the most in my head, maybe you can let me know about this. The Bills could trade up to 4 with Cleveland. If Cleveland is willing to come down to 12, maybe take 22 and something else, whatever. You have that Gettleman-Bean connection. They play golf together. They're former buddies with Carolina. So, Gettleman, the GM of the Giants. What could happen is the Giants could take Rosen, or whoever the Bills' guy is, ahead of the Jets. And then the Bills are all but assured Bradley Chubb at 4, because the Jets are going to take a quarterback. Then what they could do is draft Bradley Chubb and then iron out another trade with the Giants. That's my thought process there. That, to me, makes sense, because the Bills could, I don't know what Cleveland would want to come up to 4, but I can't imagine Dave Gettleman is going to hold some sort of ransom for the Bills. to hold Josh Rosen if he wants to trade Bradley Chubb. He's going to want something, obviously. Maybe, I don't know. I really don't know what. A second-round pick, maybe. It's 2 seconds or something. But, like, the Bills might be giving up a couple more picks than they want to. Maybe even fewer picks, actually. Maybe Cleveland only wants the 2 firsts to come up and 1 second. And then the Bills, that scenario plays out, and then the Bills have to give up, a second this year and a second next year. That way the Bills are walking away with Josh Rosen. They lose, their second-round picks and a second next year. I mean, they give up a lot. It could go a lot of ways. I don't know what Gettleman would want in that scenario. So, and I don't know what the Browns are thinking, because the Jets gave up a lot to move up to 3 from 6 to 3. So the Bills would probably have to give up a lot to move from 12 to 4, even though like that draft chart or whatever says that 12 and 22 should probably be enough. Maybe the Bills are throwing a sweetener third rounder or something. But when you're talking about quarterbacks, all bets are off. Anyway, I want to know what you guys are thinking. Like, that's just the scenario that's played out in my head right now. Like I said, the anticipation is really killing me, and I'm sure it's killing, the fans too. If you've come 21 minutes into this video, I know it's killing you because you just want to hear somebody spew this all out. If you've come this far in the video, really, I appreciate you. You can follow me on Twitter. My Twitter handle is the same as my YouTube username. Talk about all sports, primarily Bills. I'll be out, we'll be out in full force leading up to the draft. So, like I said, I do want to hear you guys. Hit me with comments, and, you can tweet me. I try to get back to everybody. Usually get back to just about everybody. I want to hear what you're thinking. I want to hear what you think about the quarterback, about McCarron maybe, about the trades, and what have you. So, enjoy the next 5 weeks leading up to the draft. Try to. It'll get here. Above all else, go Bills.